Hello everyone. Before I talk through some tips, I just wanted to give you a bit more detail on why volume assessment is Aon's passion and mine too. As an ex-recruitment manager, picking the right assessment provider and solutions was key, especially when selecting for volume roles which were critical to my business operating effectively. COVID-19 has shown us all the importance of key volume roles such as nurses, food providers, drivers, call centre staff, warehouse ops, shop workers, the list goes on. Our key workers are finally getting the recognition they deserve. Finding an assessment provider that values the importance of picking the right hires at this level is a must for you, and selecting the appropriate tools that match the right person to the role is key. So now I'm going to give you a few tips. The first tip is picking the right provider. When I came across Aon before I worked for them, I was looking for an assessment provider to be an extension of my team. I needed them to offer me a good return on investment. I needed them to challenge and allow our processes to evolve. And obviously I needed a financially stable provider due to the volume processes being a long-term project. But what else do you need? You need science-backed innovative assessments. They need to be quick, they need to be engaging, and they need to feel relevant so that candidates don't drop out. But obviously they need to predict, and they need to be validated to make sure that they're screening out appropriately and that they're fair and that they encourage diversity. And ideally they're going to be cheat-proof. And adaptive is a good way of doing that. We talked about earlier with some of our tools that it depends on how you answer as to what the next question will be. Ideally, you'll go for a bespoke solution. And although that may feel more expensive at the offset, it's going to match your role, your assessments to the role and your values. And the more you invest in tools that match your specific needs, the better the quality of hire, even if it's a seasonal role. So even if you've got fixed term or part-time people, when they're there, you want them to be doing the best that they can be doing. And if you're using game-based assessments, do make sure that they are gamified. And that means a psychometric assessment that looks like a game, as opposed to a game with a little bit of psychometrics behind them. When you're looking for a provider, make sure they have experience in your sector and with large volumes. They should be able to provide you relevant case studies with the benefits that they've achieved for their clients, and the clients should be recommending them. There should be evidence of providing a variety of different solutions that can be combined or used separately and that match your role. And ideally, they'll have norm groups that make sense, so you're comparing like for like. They should have experience with your specific volumes of applicants. Large campaigns can attract, 10,000 to even 1 million applicants, but even some volume campaigns for managers will be much lower, but make sure they're used to this. And if you're looking for international tools, make sure they've got the experience of translation. And one of the challenges for many volume recruiters is making sure that these assessments can be integrated into your ATS or that the provider has their own. So again, they should be able to demonstrate experience in this. And do you want an assessment provider, so someone that just gives you tests, or do you want somebody that's going to give you work on your solutions with you? They should have a good understanding of your business and your requirements. You should be able to tap into a pool of experts, data analysts, scientists, occupational psychologists like Fran and Robin, who spoke earlier, and industry experts with years of experience, who are also future focused and agile and can keep up with your business changes or indeed push you in the right direction. They need to be able to create a solution that differentiates your brand and offers an engaging learning experience that is candidate-centric. And one of the examples of that is the instant feedback that your candidates take away. And ideally, you'll have your own dedicated account manager and team. Now, the next tip, which is quite a busy slide, so I'll just make it quite light for you, is securing the investment that you need to make the changes. When companies come to us, they don't often know their budget, or they have an idea of one, but they're not quite sure what they need to invest. They often need to sell the concept upwards to get buy-in. I always explain that what you invest is what you get back. It is worth the spend when your sales go up, and when the quality of hire improves, when your hires stay longer, when your resource is reduced, when your applicants leave the process happy, and when your time to hire reduces. So look for evidence where your suppliers have been able to demonstrate this. Your assessment provider should be able to demonstrate the level of investment needed and offer different solutions that suit your needs. My tip 3 is selecting a simple, optimized, engaging selection process for volume recruitment. So ideally, you'll have a very short application form. Some people are actually ignoring CVs now, and they're just looking for potential as opposed to experience. And that's absolutely fine if you're using engaging quick online assessments that we've talked about earlier. Then you can use a video assessment and then a final assessment before you hire. The key thing is to identify talent early in the process using your best-in-class assessment tools. Identify talent who are a strong fit for your unique culture and your role. Free up the manpower from the tedious stages to make only the key selection decisions, and deliver time and resource efficiency within the hiring process. And when I say engaging, I mean keep it candidate-centric. Your candidates should want to complete this journey. They should appreciate why you're doing these assessments so that they don't drop out. Once they start, completion rates should be very high. Don't be frightened of asking what candidates are saying about the assessment, and ask them, what is appealing? How many completion rates have they got for some of the tools that they're recommending? And keep it fun, or at least keep it interesting. As you saw from 2 of the client demos earlier, if you add animation around your psychometric tools or you embed videos within them, you're teaching your candidates something about the role itself, but it keeps the process very, very interesting for them. And my last tip is about choosing the right combination of assessment tools, because there are lots out there. So if you have very, very large numbers, you probably want to look at something like a realistic job preview, which Robin talked about earlier within EasyJet. They only take about 8 minutes to complete, but you can get people to screen out. 10 to 15% of your applications will screen out based on one of these. But they also allow people that aren't sure about a particular role to actually decide to apply, so they can be used for different things. And then you can move on to the situational judgment assessment, which were shown in Serco and EasyJet's demonstrations. There's chat-based ones where there's more than one scenario at a time, or there's the more traditional one where there's one scenario and moves on to another one where people rate the options and the answers. Both completely valid and depends on what suits you. Again, these typically are 12 to 15 minutes, but you can screen up to 30% and even up to 50% if you're using something bespoke. And that's why we do say to you, look at bespoke, because you will be able to screen out more people and they will be right for your role. The next type of thing that you can look at, as again you saw in the previous demos, is ability tests. That, some of them only take about 5 minutes, and you can actually screen quite a few people out using these, and they are a very, very predictive tool. There's lots of different ones. The one I particularly like for some of the volume roles is our multitasking tool, where you're doing more than one thing at the same time. But if you combine the ability test with a chat assess, you're getting a much better prediction of how someone's going to perform in the actual role. And then you've got something like a personality assessment. Now, we offer shortened ones and they only take 8 minutes. But by introducing something like a personality assessment, you're looking at whether somebody wants to do the role. So we've already used assessments to say, can they do it? But this is looking at whether they want to do it. And by introducing something like this, you can get a candidate feedback report, which is a thank you. So even the people that are regretted in the process, they go away with something that they can learn from. So we're not saying that you need to use all of these. If you've got large volumes and you really want to identify the right people, then obviously the more that you can add, the better. And the final stage after you've done the online screening is to look at things like video assessment. Now, I've been in recruitment for over 20 years. So when we started off doing face-to-face, then it went to telephone, and now it's video assessment. Now, video assessment shouldn't really just be a lift and shift of the telephone questions onto the video platform. They should ideally be mapped to a validated behavioural assessment question, so that you're really digging deep and looking at how someone is going to perform and wants to perform. And as we've talked about earlier, you can even use VidAssess AI to score some of those. So it can be a complete resource saving as well. And the next thing is the actual final assessment. And there's two ways to do this. Obviously, because of COVID-19, virtual assessment has become really popular at the moment. I've always been a massive fan of it because, as I say, being a recruitment manager, trying to find rooms and the amount of DNAs, it can be a bit of a pain, if I'm honest with you, organising assessment centres. So moving something virtually, where you're either doing something where it's a one-way or a two-way, it is certainly something that you should explore. But if you're very keen on doing the face-to-face, you can use the information that you've gathered, all the data that you've gathered from the previous assessments to produce a hiring manager report that can then be used for interview. And obviously you can add role plays and group discussions onto that. But again, so a video assessment will probably take something like 15 minutes to do. A virtual assessment can be what you want it to be, and the face-to-face exactly the same. So that's it for the tips. I hope that gave you something to think about. Obviously, you probably want to know a little bit more about Aon. I know Natasha touched on us briefly at the beginning, but we were known as Cute, although some people used to call us Cutty. And we were purchased by Aon because of our innovative solutions and our roadmap into, moving forward with providing solutions for people on the virtual platforms that we have. So Aon assessments have been going for 40 years, 30 million assessments per year, administered in 90 countries, 40 languages. We have 2,000 experts, but we are part of a much bigger team. And the team at Aon, they are human capital solutions. So it's assessment, rewards, and performance. And basically what we do is we use people data to manage your risks. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into us as not just Aon assessments, but the bigger company as well.